Aaron Sorkin steps behind the camera for a second time to direct the Netflix original movie, The Trial of the Chicago 7. It's highly charged and has a stacked cast, but is that enough to make it a good movie? What was intended to be a peaceful protest at the 1968 Democratic National Convention turned into a violent clash with police and the National Guard. The organizers of the protest were charged with conspiracy to incite a riot, and the trial that followed is one of the most notorious in history. Aaron Sorkin is known for his witty writing and his rapid-fire dialogue, and it's no different in this courtroom drama. Or maybe I should call it a courtroom thriller. He both wrote the screenplay and serves as the director of this. Admittedly, I didn't know much about the case going into this, so this is a wild ride for me. Like I said, the cast is stacked. There are a ton of great players. We have Yahya Abdul-Mateen II, Eddie Redmayne, Sacha Baron Cohen, Joseph Gordon-Levitt, Frank Langella, John Carroll Lynch, Mark Rylance, Michael Keaton, and Jeremy Strong. Plus, there's a whole lot of other people that you'd recognize too. All throughout this movie, I was enthralled, enraged, outraged, horrified, and mystified. I mean, watching the drama unfold really makes me want to read the court transcripts. Because even if we just take one example, and that is of Yahya Abdul-Mateen's Bobby Seale, that is a tragic miscarriage of justice. I mean, it is terrible what occurred in that courtroom. One thing that I really like about Aaron Sorkin's writing is that he is able to take a conversation and pack it with a lot of information, but keep it moving along at a quick but understandable pace. I mean, he's able to get to the meat of it, but keep it succinct and keep us engaged. There are parts in the movie where an account is being given, and it's as it is being retold to us as the audience, we're hearing it from one person, and then it changes scenes to another person still telling the exact same account, but from their perspective. And so it just bounces from person to person, from event to event. And so we're getting this 360-degree view of everything that was going on. And it's a great way to tell a story because now we don't have to listen to each person's account and them tell the exact same thing, and we're not limited to only hearing the account from one point of view. All of them mesh together so well. I really enjoyed how he used that to tell part of the story. I would say that this is secondarily an account of what happened in 1968. And firstly, a social commentary and cautionary tale of what is going on today. The dialogue is so poignant and so true, and it absolutely resonates with what is going on today. This is 130 minutes long, and the first 50 minutes absolutely flew by. I was shocked at how much had transpired in that amount of time, and that it only felt like I had been watching about 20 minutes. And I'm not saying that it was rushed. I didn't feel rushed, I didn't feel pressured, I just felt engaged in the story. I mean, I was drawn in to everything that was being told. The pace in the second act of the film, though, did slow way down. And that's because it needed to. We needed to be able to have some breathing room with the dialogue and some of the scenes and the descriptions of what was going on. It allowed us to go deeper into some of these conversations and to really look at some of the drama that was occurring even between the seven as they are having their conversations outside of the courtroom. But then soon after, the pace did begin to ramp itself up, and then it got to a climax that literally gave me chills, and gave me chills multiple times at the end. I mean, it wasn't just like I got them once and then it went away. It was I got them, they kind of subsided a little bit, and then I got chills again, and they subsided, and I got chills again. I mentioned at the beginning that I didn't really know much of the events that happened, nor the players. So for me to get an understanding, to get some development on the characters is super important. I need to be able to establish who I'm watching, why I'm watching them, and if I care about them. And for some of the players in the Chicago 7, I kind of need to care about. Otherwise, if I'm not invested in them, I just don't care what the outcome of the trial would be. And really, I don't even care about their stories. Now, the story doesn't provide a lot of background on most of our players. And then it provides even less on some of the minor players, which that's to be expected. But surprisingly, I got enough through the introductions that we are given to form opinions about the characters, to get enough detail on them so that I know who they are, I know what they stand for, I kind of know their beliefs and their ideals, and how they differ from the other people that I'm being introduced to. So as the film is progressing, even towards the beginning of it, I'm getting a good grasp of these people that I didn't know anything about. And so I think that's really good. I think that's an effective way to tell the story and to bring me into the characters, especially as somebody who, like I said, I didn't know much or anything on some of them. I really like how they interspersed real footage from 1968 into this. And what that does is that grounds the film. It serves as a visual and tangible reminder that what this is about, this drama, actually happened and that it was violent. And most importantly, there's documentation about it. So we can't just say, well, no, that didn't really happen. No, dude, it's on film. There was one moment in the courtroom scene where my mouth was agape. And actually, to be honest, my mouth was hanging open quite a few times. But the one that I'm really thinking about involved Bobby Seale. It actually happened. I was stunned. There are court drawings from the day that involve Bobby Seale, and it is horrifyingly unimaginable at what happened inside this court of law. Yahya Abdul-Mateen as Bobby Seale was killing it. I mean, he was spectacular. And the scenes demanded it of him. They demanded him to be frustrated, to be just, oppressed. And it comes across that way. And the rest of the cast, too, in their various forms, they did a phenomenal job. Their chemistry and their timing work so well together as an entire group because it has to. Even if they're not friends, even if they're not really seeing eye to eye on every single thing, they're all co-defendants. And so they have to work together on the screen at least well. I love how Sorkin is able to intersperse such witty and smart comedy into the dialogue. And it doesn't break the mood. In fact, it actually enhances what we're hearing. And it brings to light even more of the drama, and it puts more of a punch on some of the things that are being said. There's that whole truth and jest type of thing. And this, when a comedic line, or even something that's not necessarily comedic, but it's just witty or it's smartly sarcastic, it adds that oomph to the point and just underscores it tremendously. Now, as the story goes along and the trial continues, this trial goes on for a really long time, like triple-digit number of days. And so obviously the camera is not going to show us every single day of court because, come on, that would be mundane, that would be boring, because there are probably times where not a lot's going on, or not, the interactions between people are just kind of maybe the same or whatever it is, but it's not going to be fun to watch. So of course they condense it. So the scenes would end and it would come back with a different day being shown on the screen. Sometimes it was the next day, sometimes it was 15 days or more had passed. And most of the time the time jumps in this, they didn't bother me. They worked really well. But there were a couple of things that were more technical that really did kind of just break me out of the mood. And that was when they would just fade to black. And I'm not a fan of the whole fade to black as a transition because it reminds me of TV or a TV movie where the writer didn't necessarily know how to transition from one scene to another. And so they go to commercial, or they just kind of conveniently fade to black, and then we come back with some other resolution. Now, did this end up ruining the film for me? No, and it didn't happen very often, thankfully. But it was one of those things where I'm watching this awesome piece of film, and then it goes into amateur territory for just a tiny little bit, or just kind of, it breaks you out of that mood, and then we continue on. So I just wish they would have figured out a different way to do some of those transitions. And Aaron Sorkin is a terrific writer, so he could have written it better. I'm just not sure why he didn't. I said at the beginning that this was probably more aptly described as a courtroom thriller than drama, and it absolutely is. The dialogue, the acting, the story, and the combination of all, and how they are interspersed and how they work together to tell this story is thrilling. It is not boring by any means. I was sucked in from the very get-go, and it didn't let go of me. This is an entertaining ride with a powerful message. Do not miss the opportunity to watch it when it's available. There's no sexual nudity, a lot of profanity, and a ton of violence. I give the trial of the Chicago 7 5 out of 5 couches. Do you have a favorite courtroom drama or thriller? I think one of mine is A Few Good Men, which coincidentally is written by Aaron Sorkin. But I'd love to know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for catching with me.